said, what's cooking? Nobody minded me. But as the judges here, in fact, all rise.
Why are you like this?
Because I'm going to judge here.
My name is Apioko Seiram Ashong Abe, and I am your host. Apioko is enough for me, and here on the show, I'm ready to take you through everything that you need to know in the kitchen of kitchens.
Wow. It's beautiful. It's really lovely. Really fragrant. It's almost like perfume.
Yeah. What is macaroni pie? If you ask any Barbadian, they'll tell you that one of their favorite dishes is macaroni pie. So it's time. Grab your apron, sharpen your knives, and get ready to get cooking with me right here on What's Cooking.
What's Cooking is brought to you by Tasty Tom, Kivo Pepper, and Suzy Herbal Center.
Welcome to The Point of View on Channel 1 Television. This is your favorite current affairs show. Here on The Point of View, we pick the right topics, get the right guests, and ask them relevant questions on issues that matter to you. We're live tonight with two big topics. My first guest is a member of parliament for Wa Central and the Minister for Employment, Labour and Jobs. He's going to tell us government's job creation plan. He'll explain how many jobs they've created so far, tell us more about the 24-hour economy, a lot of things. He'll even tell us about the freeze on extending contracts to people who are above 60 years old. He's my guest for the first part of the show. In the second part of the show, we speak to former Minister for Information, former Minister for Works and Housing, and also MP Kojo Oponkroma. He will be talking to us about the latest with the MPP's Reverend Ntim Fordjour and all that happened in his house today. He was in the house of Ntim Fordjour and all that's happened. So it's a 2-in-1 show tonight, so relax and enjoy. Send us your comments. If you have questions for Rashid Pelpuo, if you want a job, send him a text message. He'll tell you where you can get a job. We'll be right back with that. Stay with us.
Life is a celebration of moments. Big and small.
The sun is scorching, I'm feeling the heat.
With POV drink, every moment becomes a refreshing celebration. From the beach to your home, in every corner of your world, POV drink at a burst of refreshment.
Give me POV pop too and tangerine.
Celebrate every moment with POV drink. Refreshment for every occasion. POV drink, a taste you will love.
POV.
This advert is FDA approved.
So welcome back. So as I said, tonight we have a 2-in-1 show. In the first part, we talk about employment, labor and jobs with Minister Hassan. Is it Abdul Rashid Pelpuo?
Yes, Rashid Pelpuo.
But you have a longer name. Is it Abdul
Rashid Hassan Pelpuo.
Abdul Rashid Hassan Pelpuo, MP for Wa Central. You've been MP for 5 terms.
Yes, 6th term now.
You're in your 6th term. So you entered parliament in 2008? 2005?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you are the Minister for Employment, Jobs and Labor. You are the only minister from the Upper West region so far.
Yes.
That's serious. Will there be more?
Hopefully. Hopefully, perhaps a deputy minister or...
Yeah, because the NDC got a clean sweep in your region.
Yeah.
All the seats.
The 11 seats, yeah.
Is this the first time that has happened?
No.
It's happened before?
It's happened before. It happened in John Mohammed's time, Jerry Rawlings' time, consistently. In Atta Mills's time, all of it. But
there's always been either Ambrose Derry or there's always been one or two MPP.
Yes. In fact, in the last one, before this one, there were 3 MPs from the MPP side that won, yeah.
Were you expecting this role?
The role I'm playing now?
Employment, because I know you've been minister for private sector before.
Yes.
Sports before.
Yeah.
So this employment thing, was this something you were expecting? Did the president tell you that's what he was going to give you?
No, I didn't. Actually, I didn't try to find out what they were going to give me, and I wasn't lobbying too. So I'm sure the president looked at the circumstances around me and the composure of the person and decided that, look, this guy should be here who would listen to the people and be able to speak to them.
From the outside, it looks like a difficult ministry. I don't see people actively lobbying for it. Usually you hear finance, everybody wants finance, everybody wants, which one? Roads.
Yeah.
Maybe agric, energy. They are the big ones.
Yeah.
But employment looks like a difficult one because it's almost like it's only the negative news that you have to. I mean, am I correct in the way it's perceived from outside?
Of course, you meet workers who are angry, who are seeking a certain change in circumstance, and they are agitating for it.
Yeah.
Government is unable to provide. They are demonstrating their frustration, and there's somebody who has to sit with them and talk with them and let them agree and understand the trends and how government is working and all that. And so you're also faced with people trying to enter the job market and thinking that it is through you, it can happen. So you face 2 situations, both of which are frustration, levels of frustration. If young people are not getting the job, they came to you, they don't get, they are not happy.
Yeah.
And their frustrations you are the one who will hear their frustrations. If workers are in the job and they are not getting what they want, they express their frustration. You are the one who will hear their frustrations.
Yeah.
So it's a ministry that creates a balance between the anger, frustration, and a system of stability and understanding that this is what we have, and that's what your country is. This is what it can provide.
Yeah.
Trying to get them to appreciate and understand that.
Yeah. I was checking when the list of ministers came. I think you are one of only 2 or 3 ministers who were born before 1970 in Mohammed's government. I think it's you, and then the Attorney General, and then I think the Minister for Fisheries, and 1 or 2. Almost all of them are aged below 60. Did you think that the president? So my point is, you are probably one of the most experienced, both age-wise, and also politics-wise. So, do you think that was one of the reasons why he gave you this difficult ministry?
I don't know whether age counts, but I suppose experience will have an input into it. Yeah, and also looking at what I'm made up of. The education I've received, where I've been through with working with the youth of Ghana, working in the sports ministry, where lots of situations occurred, anger occurred when the Black Stars are not performing well. Then I came in and brought the Black Stars to a high level of success. Then I became a deputy majority leader at a time when we were almost, the same level as the MPP, and managed to get through and got my party to win an election. And if you look at all these difficult circumstances and the outcomes, you'll find a person who seemed to be somebody who understands, who sees, who listens, who tries to cure situations. So I'm sure with all these things, he may have decided that, look, this guy can do this job. So
the name of the ministry is interesting. Employment, Jobs and Labor Relations. This is the first time I've seen jobs in the name of the ministry. It's always Ministry of Employment or Labor. So what is that? Why have you added jobs to the, and does that change what the ministry means to what it was before?
You know, the ministry is given the mandate of developing a policy relation between the government, the employer, and the working people of Ghana. And then it's also given the job, so those are people in stabilized job who are in the public sector, civil service, and private sector. And you have a situation where there is a transition from being in school into being a working person. So how do we get the labor of the country ready and working? That's where the labor is. How do we get those who are unemployed in school to become employed and working? So that transition is important, and the two will have definitely to go together. You know, whilst we are dealing with the situation of labor, look at how people are also getting into labor, and so they look at the two and find that they are closely linked.
So your job includes finding work for people who don't have work.
Yes.
And then managing the employment for those who have work.
Yes.
But the word pensions used to be part of the ministry. Is that
It's
part
still
of it?
part of it.
So those who are out of work,
Yes.
those who are in work, and those who leave.
Yes.
Oh God.
Yeah, you've created it well.
That's a big job.
Yeah.
As a minister. How many agencies work under you?
Presently, 5 agencies.
Which are they?
We have the pension.
Okay. So that's NPRA, National Police Regulatory Authority.
You have the Labor Commission. You have the Factory Inspection. You have the
Fair Wages and Salaries
the Fair
Commission.
Wages and Salaries, and then you have the Statistical Service.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right. So, what is your priority as a minister? What's the top 2 things you are supposed to do this year or this term?
This time, to reflect the promises we made to the youth, to get them to understand that it is possible for them to get jobs, and that if it is not in Ghana, it can be somewhere else. So we are creating that circumstance of job creation. I'm building confidence in them to know that they can work both in Ghana and outside Ghana. And I'm linking up with various ministries and agencies to make sure if jobs are available in their places, open it up for young people. And I'm also having a discussion with governments outside Ghana who are interested in working with, migrating labor from Ghana and creating a condition of labor transfer to them. And a form that will enable the young person do so with the same level of conditions of respect and dignity they will have in Ghana. And they will do so working in healthy conditions and earning enough, outside Ghana. So these are the issues I'm harping on now, and creating a situation of job availability to.
But how does a government create jobs?
Government simply provides the needed condition for job creation. Run an economy that can be trustworthy, make the private sector feel that this is a place to invest, and if you can do so and give the reason why people can stay in your country and work, you have investment, increased investment. And if you can make sure they are confident in the money they input, that it will yield something to them, then they input more, expand their businesses, create more jobs, and employ more people. So, and government itself will begin to expand its agencies because the market is becoming big. So the agencies that will attend to the market will also have to be bigger. Bigger hospitals are being built, bigger departments are being built, and they also create jobs for the people. So
the government doesn't create the job itself. It creates the environment for jobs to be created.
For job creations, yes.
But that environment is created by the finance minister. He's the one who's running the economy. So if the economy is well run, the jobs we created. So why is jobs part of your portfolio then?
The finance minister dwells on finance. It dwells on the economy. The outcome of the economy is the agric minister, is all the other ministries. If they collapse, if the finances collapse, every other ministries collapse. I'm just one of the ministries that functions well when the economy does well. And so you can't heap all of them into finance. If we do so, finance itself will collapse. Because rather than attending to how much we can keep a balance between expenditure and income, we are running out of ideas in taking care of other situations. So how much money can you borrow? How much money can you spend? How much money can you generate from the resources of the, So all these are key questions that one single person has to answer, and that's the finance minister. Once he deviates from these areas, then he might be finding problems making the economy conducive for investment and for us all to exist.
I think one of the most important things that have happened in your time has been the minimum wage and the wage negotiations.
Yeah.
The president was in that meeting. Why was he in that meeting? Was he supposed to be there? Is he always in those meetings?
No, at all, not at all. The president demonstrated very strongly to the world that this is a man who understands what the Ghanaian wants, and he understands the level of the kind of things that he has to do to create confidence in the people that he cares about them. And so I was even surprised myself when we called him and told him, look, we are negotiating with labor. We've gotten to the point when we needed much more force to give to them, to understand that we are serious with what we are saying. And we asked him whether it is possible for him to pass by. He said, why not? And then he told his security, you don't need to accompany me. I just want to take a car, drive there, and go into the meeting.
This was after he was sworn in as president?
Oh, yeah.
He was full president?
After he was sworn in as president. After we were...
So this meeting was in your office?
In my office. When I was sworn in myself. And, so he drove there, got down, no military, no police, walked to the place and sat with us. And then, we
So this was the tripartite committee?
Yeah, the tripartite
Government,
committee.
Employers, and organized labor. And the president was sitting with government?
Yeah, he sat with us.
So in government was you, him, and who?
And the finance minister.
On one side?
Yeah.
Then TUC, Federation of Labor on one side?
Yes.
And then Employers Association?
Yes.
How long did the meeting last?
I think it was about 20 to 30 minutes.
Wow.
But he stayed, when he came, within 20 minutes, he had made his contribution.
What did he say?
I told you, we got to a point when the labor had proposed 35% increments. We proposed...
Of base pay?
Yes, of base pay. And we came down to 9%.
Okay.
Willing to go up to 10%. But they look at us and it was funny to them. How can you, 35, you are getting to 9%.
And you are going up to 10.
And going up to 10. And we thought about going up to 10, but we didn't come out to 10. So when the president came, it was a shocker to all of us, all of them. And then he sat with us. And after listening to the arguments, the debates, then he said, okay, I've listened to both. I know there are challenges in the economy, and I want you all to understand the economy is not what you imagine it should be. You know where we are coming from and the situation we find ourselves. And I just want to make a proposal that we go up to 10%. And then the government side, we thought that it was brilliant. We endorsed it. And then the labor side, they didn't know whether they were accepting or not accepting. Then somebody proposed that once the president has made a proposal, he could then leave so that we can talk about it.
Did they know he was coming for the meeting?
They didn't know.
So you put that on them as a surprise.
Yeah.
You probably disarmed them because to have come to a meeting and then see the president walk in.
Yeah.
But that wasn't fair. That was not a fair labor practice.
Oh, it's very fair labor practice. You know, government means...
Or fair negotiation tactic. To bring a president in when they didn't know.
Actually, it's the fairest you can find because they are looking for the president. We were representing him.
Were they happy to see him or surprised?
Oh, they were happy. Very,
Sure.
very happy. In fact, when he came in, they sang one of our songs.
He sang. They
sang one of our campaign songs.
The organized labor sang your campaign
Some
song.
of them, not
Some
they,
of
in
them.
fact, they started it and then
Hey.
others said, no, don't go there. Then they
Wow.
stopped. I mean, it just shows the kind of respect they have for the
I
man. It didn't mean that they were giving up their because if they had given up, they wouldn't have been on his face proposing and insisting on their 35%. But it was a show of respect to him.
Was this base pay for all public sector workers? Is that what it means?
Yes.
When they say base pay.
Yes, it's for all public sector.
Doctors, teachers, nurses,
Everybody.
police, everybody.
Yes. But you see, I think people, what it is that it doesn't mean that's what people are going to be paid. We are saying that anybody working in the public service, in the public space, even outside the public service, if you want to pay, you are going to pay not below 10% of the present increase in the base level.
So that's what the base
salary.
pay means. Which one is this? Was this the same meeting or this a different meeting?
Yeah, this was the last meeting I held with them.
Which people are these people?
This is CLOSAC.
CLOSAC, the guys who went to strike over the bet and bet registry.
Yes.
DG.
Yes. Yeah, CLOSAC, you know, they came in not so happy with the fact that government is not responding to their demands. And so I decided that I should call their leadership and have a final word with them. In fact, we had been negotiating. So I invited them to a meeting. They came, and then I spoke to them. I told them about the fact that this is a new government. We have listened to what they want. Give us time to deliberate upon it. And there were issues about legality. The law was that, look, there is a stipulation that you don't get involved in politics at the civil service level. And they are civil service. So you don't go and employ anybody to head a civil service department with the person having political colors will mean that we are transgressing on the existing regulations and laws. And I agreed with them that if you are in the civil service, you don't demonstrate party politics, you don't demonstrate party alliances or behave in manners that show you are a party person. But not when you are outside the circles of civil service. So the gentleman was outside the circles of civil service when he demonstrated that he was a party person. Once he gave up that one and entered into the civil service, he should be seen not to be a political person any longer, except when he demonstrates that kind of political alliance in that new
So this was
position.
your argument to them, and they did accept the argument?
They didn't accept it. They still insisted that even if you wore political colors outside,
you are politicians.
You are a politician.
So was this
in.
thing I'm seeing was after you had spoken to them?
After I spoke to them, we came to a certain compromise. My articulation kind of impressed them, and they agreed with me and decided that
they will call off the strike. Can I hear what they are singing? Is it possible for me to hear it, people? I want to hear the song they are singing. I see. So Minister Dowa Adonibi. So this was after they agreed to call off the strike?
Yes.
So the guy next to you is Bampo Ado?
Yes.
That's
the
CLOSAC president?
The CLOSAC president, yeah.
So this is 25th March, right? This is last weekend.
Yes.
A week and a half ago.
Yeah.
So CLOSAC have called off their strike?
They have.
I see.
And I salute them for the show of respect and their understanding and cooperation with us. I think that the leadership demonstrated high-level leadership quality and respect for the people of Ghana.
Is there any strike going on as we speak?
Yeah, I just 2 days ago I heard about a strike at the Technical University of
Hilal
Liman, yeah.
This is TUTAG.
Yes. And then I also got a letter from the teachers union, indicating that they are very angry with we not listening to their demands, and they were sending a signal that they will also go on strike.
The teacher union.
Yeah.
Is it NAGRAT?
NAGRAT.
Or
NAGRAT. NAGRAT and NAGRAT, where they were also sent a signal to us that they are not happy with some negotiations that are failing, and they will also want to go on strike.
So TUTAG for the Liman University is on strike.
It's on strike.
But the clock sack strike has been ended.
Yes.
And then there's NAGRAT giving indication of strike. All right. Let me ask you 2 very quick questions as we sort of move to a close. The President's Secretary issued a directive ordering the immediate suspension of all post-retirement contract appointments for retired public service staff across the country. And he said the directive took effect from immediately, and that the government was not going to grant any of such contracts to people above 60. Do you understand why the president is doing this?
Yeah, the president is just reflecting the existing law and circumstance. The acts, that's the 766 and 766, and I think PNDC law 247. All are saying that, look, the retirement age is 60. After 60, you are retired. It is what Senate also recognizes, because so when you fill your form and then for employment and you get to 60, they signal you are up to 60, and by law you should resign. But some circumstances would compel the president to give you another 1 year or 2 years. Now, people have abused the circumstance. People just finish their job and they say, look, let me stay for 1 more year. And then they talk to 1 or 2 people, they are giving 1 more year, and they stay on, or 2 more years. After the 2 years, they ask for 2 more years. And at the expense of the people who should have been in job. I know of a situation where somebody at his age of retirement was given 2 more years. At the end of the 2 more years, was given another 2 more years. His deputy retired out of the job. He should have had the opportunity to become the chief executive. So he couldn't get the opportunity. The young man who was waiting for the shift to happen so that he can also get in, couldn't get in. And this person or persons will stay on and on. But it doesn't mean that it is completely out of space or out of decision to do that. It is possible we can do that. Reason being this: supposing our nuclear installation put up by Dr. Kwame Nkrumah still existed. Nuclear science is a very high-tech science and requires high-level technological drive and understanding. If you put somebody there who has studied the thing and can understand how it operates, it's very difficult. It's very dangerous to give it to somebody who is new, because when it explodes, it's killing everybody. So you don't give it to somebody who is learning. So if somebody at the age of retirement retires, you can still call the person back to continue to man the station, but not in a situation where, it's just a management of civil society, a management of civil departments, which is not any technical thing. Then you say, oh, I'm so the place is so technical that I think government will still need me. So I apply for an additional 2 years.
Okay. So if I get you right, generally he's enforcing the law,
yeah,
but there could be exceptions.
There could be exceptions. and he decides that at the moment there are no such exceptions, and that's logical. I don't think there are.
But there are people who have been appointed who are 59. IGP is 59 years old. Does that mean when he's 60 he won't be retained?
It's all dependent on the will of the president. Yeah, if he decides to keep him there, the law allows the president to do so.
But he just recently, his secretary has just issued a statement that they will not extend. So I'm just saying, I can assume that the IGP, when he's 60, he's going.
Yeah, it's possible.
I see.
It's possible. It's possible. I'm not saying that is it, but it's possible that when he assumes 60, the president will decide not to. You know.
Is this a cost-saving measure or just following the letter law by the letter?
I think both. We are running a difficult budget now. We have an economy that had been abused before several years and is struggling to recover. And if you ignore the pain the economy is going through, the Trojan effect of economic indicators, and decide that you would continue to do what had been done earlier, it will show poor understanding of how economies recover.
I see.
Yeah.
I have two quick things to ask you about. Your government's work abroad program, what is that?
The position, the situation where the workers in Ghana here will have an opportunity to work elsewhere. It is what is called in our labor parlance international labor migration.
Okay.
Yeah, where you can migrate. Every country has that migration law or instructions. So when you have excess labor, you can transport the excess labor or give them an avenue to go and work elsewhere in a respectable, conducive, legal
manner. So any
manner.
specific sectors that you are focusing on, or is this for all sectors?
Yeah, so it depends on the countries requiring the labor we need.
Okay.
Quite recently, the Barbados ambassador, very brilliant lady, came to my office, and then after we had a discussion, those kind of bilateral discussion, she went on to request that she would like to have Ghanaian nurses in her country. We had sent some there, but she says that they still need more. She praised how effective Ghanaian nurses are. And I've also met a Romanian who said that the Ghanaians who came there to work, he was so amazed and cited a Ghanaian who did something miraculous. There's a machine which was newly constructed, these big machines that are moving the earth moving machines. And that one was particularly specified for something else.
Okay.
And then even people who learned to use it were finding it difficult to run it. And then there's a Ghanaian who was just sent there, and then he just entered the thing and started operating it. And he said this was a shocking thing to them. So all over there are praises of Ghanaians who are doing well intellectually. Those who are in school are demonstrating that they know what they're about. So, and the fact that our lingua franca, the English, is a strong language capacity we have, which people will easily want to use because it's spoken everywhere else. And Ghanaians speak very good English.
So you are encouraging Ghanaians to go and work abroad?
I'm encouraging Ghanaians who have no job in Ghana. In fact, I've met people who say, as soon as I took the ministry, students come to me, young people would come to me and say, Honorable, I have finished school since 2020, and to date I don't have a job. One person came to me, a chartered accountant. He said he chartered in 2017.
Okay.
He's still trying to get a permanent job. All the while now, he's doing galamsey jobs. Jobs that are not permanent. And so he's now looking for a job that can keep him at home, keep him stable. So these are many people who have learned plumbing, people who have learned carpentry, people who have learned mechanical engineering at lower levels. They are all there, not having jobs to do. So we are saying that, why do we keep these people in existentia? Let them find space and work somewhere.
Okay.
Let's sign contracts for them, 5 years contracts. If they finish, they can come back to Ghana and be able to invest on their own.
I see. So when can I call you to ask you to give me a report on how many jobs you've created? You've been in office for 3 months.
Yes.
When will you have something to report on jobs created?
I believe I'm trying hard to make sure I give a report to the president in 120 days. His 120-day promise agenda.
So you give him something on after 120. So that's in probably a week or two.
Yeah, something like that.
All right.
I'm going to contribute to the 120 days.
Right.
But in effect, in 6 months, I also hope that I would have been able to give you substantially
what you've done.
Let
me read 2 final comments. Good evening, Bernard. We, the graduate teachers, are still home without employment. There was an initial process to employ us, but we have been halted. But that has been halted after the new government took office. That's a nameless one. Good evening, Bernard. Said from Ahafo at Chirensuya. The minister possesses that it is government's duty to create the necessary conditions for job creation. That's an interesting thing to hear. However, does the employment minister justify the revocation of thousands of appointments to the NHIA, GRA, and other such agencies, given that these individuals were appointed in October and November 2024, but have been handed high sentences from the Office of the Chief of Staff? So you're saying if you say government doesn't create jobs, why do you sack people who've been employed 2-3 months to end of government? This is what he's saying. Just have a minute to respond before we go.
In actual fact, the president has set up a committee to look into all the people who are complaining that they are sacked unfairly. I'm a co-chairman of that committee. We are working very hard.
Okay.
We've taken all their complaints and we are getting to get them a response.
Okay.
Let me tell you, Bernard, in that space of time, after they lost elections, they employed 12,000 people within a week or two.
In which sector?
In all sectors, a combination of...
After December 7?
After December 7th.
They employed 12,000 people?
12,000 people.
Were these all... But how do you know if the process had not started before the election?
And so that's what we are doing now. We are now investigating it. The president
12,000 people?
Yes.
Employed after December 7th?
Yes. So the president said,
wow,
go and investigate. Let us know what happened. Let those who had a history of getting employed and gotten the job, let's know them. If there was an interview, you went through the interview, you did that and did that, keep them, don't sack them. But if there was somebody who will call you and say you come, the next day they are giving you a letter, go and work, no records at all in the place, then there must be questions about that. So we are investigating it and our results will come out soon.
Thank you, Honorable Rashid Pelpuo, Minister for Employment, Jobs and Labour, MP for West Central. We'll talk to you after 6 months.
Thank you.
To give us your scorecard. The point of view is still live. When we come back, Kojo Ponkroma joins us. There was drama at the home of Ntim Fordjour, MP for Asin South, who's the ranking member on the Committee on Interior and Defense. And we'll be finding out what happened there and what the minority's position is. Stay with us.
Where to get polytank?
Oh, and you're fine.
Go straight.
No, I want for left, right.
And you that's right. Ghana na ye wono. So when you do more, and ye data. Who knows? I beg, na here. Me pe polytank at all. And you think I'm in your bed to be able to never you. Or food to be enjoy you cry.
Akuya bulambo kotoman. Emua.
Like they take to buy so. Go to the distributor and you give the original polytank. Polytank. You get a sound?
Polytank. Papananka Sankasa.
Excellent. Be that business owner that stands out and is very productive.
You're so confident. How do you do it?
It starts with Built. Where does your confidence come from? Paperwork made simple. Built takes all the hassle away. Yeah, don't be like her. Built is your all-in-one simplified finance platform. It's your home for invoices, payments, your payroll, and so much more.
Oh, wow.
Grow your business today. Sign up now at Built.Africa. Download the Built app now.
What's cooking? You are very welcome to the show where we stir up delicious meals.
Hey, so who's Lali and who's Lola? Okay, should we confuse her?
Give me small water. Oh. A little more than you pour everything. So now if the thing doesn't cook well, it will be you.
We share inspiring stories.
I was planning to move to Ghana and I was looking for tea. Whenever I come to Ghana on holiday, I was always looking for different types of tea.
You were really in the UK before?
Yeah, I was in the UK.
And we savor every single moment at the dining table.
I said, what's cooking? Nobody minded me. But as there are judges here, in fact, all rise.
Why are you like this?
Because I'm going to judge here.
My name is Apioko Seiram Ashong Abe, and I am your host. Apioko is enough for me, and here on the show, I'm ready to take you through everything that you need to know in the kitchen of kitchens.
Wow. It's beautiful. It's really lovely. Really fragrant. It's almost like perfume.
Yeah. What is macaroni pie? If you ask any Barbadian, they'll tell you that one of their favorite dishes is macaroni pie. So it's time. Grab your apron, sharpen your knives, and get ready to get cooking with me right here on What's Cooking.
What's Cooking is brought to you by Tasty Tom, Kivo Pepper, and Susie Herbal Center. In a world filled with challenges, we all need guidance, hope, and a lifeline to anchor us.
This is Lifeline, and I'm your host, Fred Crunchy Mensa.
From social issues, relationship challenges, and family matters, Lifeline is here to inspire, uplift, and guide you on your journey.
Where we give you support, where we hold your hand through the valley and through the thick and thins of life.
Join Bishop Fred Crunchy Mensa.
I welcome you especially to Lifeline.
Every Tuesday and Thursday at 10 p.m. right here on Channel 1 TV. Let's walk this path together, strengthen our faith, our families, and our lives. Lifeline, because every soul deserves a guiding light. Tune in to Lifeline on Channel 1 TV and let's grow together.
We're still live here on The Point of View, and it's a big show today because there was drama at the Spintex home of MP for Asin South, the Reverend John Ntim Fordjour, because security officials, we are not sure where they're from, went to his house ostensibly to arrest him. The minority 88 were there to say, we ain't having none of that. One of the key people who were there, both at the residence and in the meeting, which sort of resolved the matter, is my next guest, Kojo Ponkruma, former minister for many things, information, works and housing, MP for Fancy Arabi in his, your fourth or third term? Third term. So you were at Ntim Fordjour's house today.
Yes.
And in the meeting as well. Welcome to the show.
Thanks.
How is he? Is he okay?
Oh, he's fine. In very good spirits.
In very good spirit. Okay. Before I come to you, I need to do a quick sort of summary of how we got here. So my colleague Fred Duho was at the residence of Ntim Fordjour. But before he even talks about what he saw, I want him to come and just walk us through quickly the series of events that have culminated in today. So, Fred, please join us and tell us, just walk me through, when did this whole Ntim Fordjour thing begin and how did we get here?
Yeah, so Bernard, it started on the April 1st, and generally the Reverend Ntim Fordjour, who is the MP for Asin South, actually held a press conference in Parliament.
In Parliament?
In Parliament, actually, where he told the pressmen present that basically that they've seen that this particular aircraft, air-med flight, so and so, and Gov't Air, they came in with some illicit substances. And so he believed that based on suspicion, the government needs to look into these issues. Then we go to April 1 again, when the president, the same day, issued, and he actually wrote on social media, on his Facebook page, asking him and the security agencies to collaborate and then find or unravel the circumstances surrounding this whole allegation.
So the president mentioned Ntim Fordjour in his post.
Exactly.
And
he mentioned NACOC as well, which is the Narcotics Control Commission. And then he mentioned the NIB, which is the National Investigation Bureau.
Okay, so actually, just
collaborate with him.
So behind us is the president's...
the statement he issued.
My attention has been drawn to allegations made at a press conference by Honorable Member of Parliament Ntim Fordjour regarding 2 suspicious flights arriving at the Kuta International Airport. So this is the same day, April Fool's Day.
Exactly.
Kuta International Airport, involving drug trafficking and money laundering. Government takes all allegations seriously, and to ensure a thorough and transparent investigation, have directed all relevant investigative bodies. So you are right, it mentions NACOC, police, CID, NIB, and National Security to immediately and fully collaborate with the Honorable Member so he provides all necessary information to investigate allegations and take action exposing any drug dealing. We maintain zero tolerance for using Ghana as a transit or final destination for drugs or drug trafficking. The NIB made that. Okay, so this is President.
So from there, the government communication outfit actually did a video explainer where they tried to explain what those aircraft came into the country to do. One, they are saying that they came to change ties, and they also debunked the allegation that the Member of Parliament made alleging that drugs were involved, some huge sums of money were also involved. So they basically debunked that particular allegation on April 3.
So this thing on the screen was put out by government communications.
Exactly.
So supposedly explaining what the aircraft
came into the country or landed at the Kutuka International Airport to do.
So this
one of the key issues is that the aircraft came because it had developed some fault.
So these are medical sort of planes that carry, is like an air ambulance.
Exactly.
So it wasn't here to do anything nefarious, according to the government communications minister. So he put out this video.
Exactly.
And this is April the 3rd.
And that is one of the images on the screen that you can see that they are changing ties. This is from the government communication.
Wonderful.
Ostensibly trying to explain themselves and debunk the allegation that the MP
But it didn't end it. So after April 3, more...
Then they went to April 5, where a heated debate unfolded on social media between the government communication minister and the Reverend Ntim Fordjour.
So they were on social media, were they on the same program, or they were using their...
No, they were using their personal handles, and Phyllis Kwachi was also, and this is where the media engagement started to get heated over a period of time. The government is trying as much as possible with the evidence they have. They want to now clear the air because they believe that this is the image of the country being sold out there.
So they were trying to sort of debunk what Reverend Ntim Fordjour said. But Ntim Fordjour was also on air.
He was also trying to, as much as possible, make it clear that it was a suspicion, and he's urging the government or state agencies to now take up the initiative and probe further. Maybe they can find something. He doesn't have all the necessary tools.
So from your timeline, the video you showed me was actually released on April 6. On April 3, Felix Kwachi did a video where he came to speak on his own. So the video you showed me now was actually released on April 6.
No, that video was released earlier before Felix Kwachi came out to also now speak to the issue.
Rather?
Exactly.
Was the same day?
On
April 6.
So let's just go back.
So April 3, April 3 is Felix Kwachi coming in to speak to the public to explain what he believes to be the right thing. Then he released, go on. Then he releases the video of this aircraft that we just showed on April the 6th.
Exactly the case. So when you go to April 6,
he released the
that's
video.
where you have the government communication minister released photo and video evidence showing engineers repairing and the damaged landing gear ties
April 6 is what day
of the
Med
aircraft.
Sunday.
Yeah.
But on Saturday, they also came on it because Umaru Sanda interviews
Phyllis on Point of View.
No,
on face to face.
He interviewed Ntim Fordjour on Sunday night. Sunday night on CNR. On Saturday, the two of them had gone to News File. Sunday, he was on Sunday's News Bulletin. And then Tuesday, Felix Kwachi was on
face to face with Sanda.
I see.
Yes.
So April 7th, Fordjour defends his actions.
Where a series of media interviews, clarification, where the banter now started, where personal attacks and attention has been drawn to this whole issue. The government is trying to defend, and the minority is also coming in at this moment to say that they still stand with the. Don't forget, Reverend Ntim Fordjour is the ranking on the Defense and Interior Committee in Parliament, and so obviously whatever he says is on behalf of the caucus.
Okay.
And so generally on the April 8th,
which is yesterday now.
Yesterday, the ranking member for Foreign Affairs Committee wrote to the international community urging an investigation into the circumstances surrounding the arrival of the aircraft.
Abu Samojinapo. So he wrote this letter to the diplomatic community. Then
issues begin to unfold further, where we have officials from the National Investigation Bureau awaited Bagby's approval. Don't forget, the government said they've sent a letter to Parliament, to the Speaker of Parliament, waiting for his approval so they can go ahead to invite the MP for questioning. And that we are yet to see if indeed that letter has been written or it has been approved. As we speak, we have not cited any of such letters. Then on April 8th, that is where the Ghana Airport Company Limited was also drawn into this whole conversation. They came to also defend themselves. One of their officers was actually drawn into the whole issue, where people are alleging on social media that she is behind this whole thing, releasing information from the Ghana Airport Company Limited to the opposition. And so people are beginning to raise concern, and they came out quickly, issued a statement, and they clarified their stand that that cannot be, because the officer does not get involved in any of such issues. So that's the Ghana Airport
Company statement?
The statement.
So how did you, what time were you told about what was happening in Ntim Fordjour? When did you get to Ntim Fordjour's house today?
I got there at exactly 1:20 thereabout. We're actually using the office vehicle, but we realized that per how things were unfolding, I needed to get ahead of the vehicle. So I took an Okada and then maneuvered the traffic and got to the house.
And the house is where?
The house is within the Spinters Enclave. I don't know whether it's okay to...
So you got there at 1:20?
I got there around 1:20.
Did you see, what did you see when you got there?
We saw a number of vehicles and men who were actually masked. Some were masked, and some also had this AK-47. They were wielding gun, literally. They were there in their numbers, and they would not allow...
In the house or outside the house?
In the house, at the gate. So some entered, and they were engaging the MP. Some were on the compound, that is in the house. It's a gated house. So some were on the compound. And then there are those outside the gate, which has to do with the police and some of the plainclothes officers.
So some were masked, some were police uniform, some were... Could you, how many people were there?
In my estimation, there are about 20 of them.
About 20?
About 20 of them.
Did any of them speak to you?
No. The only time they tried to confront me was when they saw me come with the camera, and they were like, do not film us, do not show our face. And I'm like, well, you are here to do your work. I'm also a press person. The only thing probably I can guarantee is that I would film, just that your face won't come into the video. And that is where they allowed us to...
You entered the house?
We entered the house. But what really gave us access as pressmen or media people, basically, is the number of supporters that came in. The NPP supporters were there.
They were there before you got there?
Yes, they were also there in
How
their
many
numbers.
did you see?
Oh, they were over 50.
So they were also outside 50. Or in the house?
They were in the house. They were in the house.
So the security people were both outside the house and in the house?
They were there.
And then the party people were also in the house?
Yes.
So is it the party people who allowed you to enter the house?
When we saw them entering, and
we went
because
to
of their share numbers, we went with them to also
were the
see
MPs in the house when you got there?
So the MPs, the minority leader, Honorable Afenyo Makin, was already in the room with the MP and trying to engage him. The only time I got to speak to the Honorable Atachia was when he came in a rush. And I asked him, why was he really in a rush? He was like, he was called, he had a distress call to come in quickly to probably guide the MP.
So you got there at 1:20? Yeah. And by the time I saw you on it, it was around 2 o'clock. And you reported till 3:30.
Yes.
So it's like almost... So Kojo, sorry, let's take up the story. And thank you, Fred Duho. Sit down, I'll call you back if I need you. So I'm sort of trying to get people... Before we get to the house, does his narration follow the sequence of what you know?
I think so. A few things may be missing in between, but generally, yes.
Generally,
that's the
so
story.
April 1, he makes this was in the presence of Parliament.
April 1, the minority press conference is addressed by him, and it's a very important clarification that needs to be made, because people want to create the impression that he was a man on a frolic of his own. That's not the case. He's a ranking member on the Committee of Defense and Interior, where we sit and do our press conferences. That's where he was with some of his colleagues, did this press conference and raised these suspicions.
So he wasn't alone?
No, he wasn't alone. He raised these suspicions. It is now consequent to that all of these issues have come up, which give us reason to believe that the government is on an agenda to, try and intimidate the minority caucus or cow us into submission.
How do these things work? Because there are so many sectors, and sometimes when I come to Parliament, there are so many press conferences. I've been in Parliament before where maybe 4 MPs say we are from Ashanti. We are doing a press conference on the road. So does the leadership always know what the subcommittee reps are saying to the press?
Yes. So usually what you do, like what we do on the economic committee, the last time we had our press conference, we'll do the draft, we'll share it with leadership, and then we'll get the green light to go ahead and hold the press conference. In fact, there are times when one of the deputy whips will be sent in to assist and moderate and manage the situation. There are times when just outside the chamber you will do it. So yes, it's a collective exercise. Leadership is in the know.
What is your recollection of what Ntim Fordjour actually said on the first day? Because that was the same day the president responded in a post, which means that it must have been pretty serious.
And it's a very interesting question you ask, because on the first day he raised about 3 issues. One was the fact that in February, I think February 2nd or so, a video appeared online which claimed that the national security operatives had found some containers with money and gold. Later, there was a claim that there was fake money and gold. And there was a claim that a statement had been issued, and you couldn't even find the statement. You couldn't find who was owning up to it. And they were looking for one Alaji or something like that.
That was February 9.
And since then, you hadn't heard anything about that, such a severe matter. Then number 2, which he raised while he led the committee to do this press conference, was about the almost $350 million of cocaine caught on the streets going or coming from the central region, which had also not been adequately addressed. Who is it? Has the person been arrested? Are people before court or what? And then the third one was these 2 different flights connected with Grand Canaria and Luanda, which had come into the country at various times and had stayed here for an odd period of time. And he raised the argument, leading the committee, that government needs to investigate these matters because there are suspicions associated with it, and let the public know. That's the context of what the Minority Caucus, through the Committee of Defense and Interior, put out on that day.
But did he also not say that Ghana was becoming a hub for cocaine?
Those were the fears that he expressed, because you see, when you have these kind of matters, if you do not address them adequately, this is the fear that will crystallize in the hearts and minds of people. And that's why he invited the government to get into a proper inquiry into these matters and settle them. In fact, they even went further to call for a full-scale public inquiry or even a bipartisan parliamentary committee to look into these matters. That's the context within which they spoke on the very first day.
So in relation to the 2 aircraft, was he asking or he was claiming?
He was asking for, and that's why he said suspicions, and went further to ask for investigations to take place into these matters.
So the man is not here, and I'm not putting him on trial, but I feel like in relation to the 2 aircraft, was he asking or he was claiming?
He was said suspicions place into these matters.
So the man is not sequence. They are at this time, and then you conclude question and then conclude at the same time.
Between the intelligence which he put on the table and what you would call the conclusion, he raised the issues of what the suspicions were. That associated with these things, these are the suspicions. You need to investigate, because if you don't investigate and get the right thing done, if there are people doing something funny, find them out and deal with them, because you could be at the top in government and you don't even know what people are doing at the bottom. So you got to investigate and deal with them, because we don't want our country to become a place like this. This was an invitation to the government to do the right thing. You will notice that the president on that very first day gave a response that these are serious matters. They have to be investigated. And so he was asking a number of bodies to get involved. Just about 2 days later, then the minister responsible for government communications literally comes out with guns blazing, saying that there's actually no need for investigation. In fact, he used the word bogus at a point in time and goes further to say that there's no substance in these matters. No time needs to be wasted on it, contrary to the president's instruction. And then he proceeds to provide answers or explanations from government. Now, why Ntim Fordjour came back was because a lot of those answers had gaps in them.
Before we go there, Kojo, if you read what the president said carefully, are you sure the president, because I think you guys can put it back on the screen, the president was basically calling on Ntim Fordjour to provide more information, which means that the president took his conclusion seriously. It's not the same as saying, go and investigate.
If you can put what the president said.
My attention has been drawn to allegations made at a press conference. It's right in front of you.
Yeah.
By Honorable Ntim Fordjour. Reverend Ntim Fordjour. So,
regarding two suspicious flights arriving at the Kotka International Airport,
suspected to be involved,
because those were the words that he
in drug trafficking and money laundering.
Government takes all allegations seriously, and to ensure a thorough and transparent investigation, I have directed all relevant investigative agencies, including NACOC, CID, NIB, to immediately and fully collaborate with the Honourable Member of Parliament so he provides all necessary information to investigate the allegations and take all action necessary to expose any
pause there. So the weight of, again, my understanding in common English is that the president places the onus on the MP that collaborate with him so he provides
That's not what
all
the president
necessary
was doing.
information to investigate the allegations and to take all necessary. So basically,
you see, in this country,
he's putting the onus on the guy.
But that can be the case. We are not in court proving somebody's guilt where you say he who alleges must prove. The president knows that in this country we have a Whistleblowers Act, which actually provides a legal framework for how you treat matters like this when the whistle is blown on them. In fact, it could be written, it could be oral. I have a copy of Act 720 here, and it spells out how, when you even make such a report to the office of the president, they have to take it. So the step that the president took was the right one, to invite the various bodies to investigate the matter, and in so doing, of course, collaborate with the whistleblower so to do. However, contrary to what the president said, his Minister for Government Communications is the one who came in, I think, on the 3rd, rubbishing all of this, saying that an investigation literally was not necessary. They had conclusions already that this was bogus, and that they were going to make a scapegoat out of Ntim Fordjour. That's where the dynamics changed. In fact, when I listened to that interview on Asempa FM, I was shocked. That if you have a whistleblower who has drawn your attention on behalf of the entire minority caucus to these things and is asking for an investigation, and the president himself in his wording is talking about these suspected matters, blah, blah, blah. And I very much believe the president wanted to proceed with Act 720 kind of framework. Why would you come out now seeking to attack him, intimidate him, threaten that you're going to make a scapegoat out of him?
Let's pause there. Why do you think the president chose social media if you believe he was working with...
No, because of the urgency of the matter. I think the president wanted to respond with speed.
I mean, have you seen the pace with which Kalisus Mama issues statements? There's almost a statement every 2 days. So they do issue statements if they have to. The reason I'm asking this is, maybe the way a whistleblower presents under this act may not necessarily be the way Ntim Fordjour went, for which reason the president also chose this modus. Because if, for example, Ntim Fordjour had written to an agency to say there's something suspicious going on, it may have generated that type of reason. So I surmise that because Ntim Fordjour put the thing in the public domain in the manner he did, and also the conclusion that he put out, it sort of forced the president to also use this approach.
I don't have a problem with that. And I'm saying that what the president actually did was the right thing by stating that, therefore, what needs to be done is that this needs to be investigated. But I'm saying that contrary to what the president said on the 1st, on the 3rd, his minister came in rubbishing what the president had said, that an investigation was not even necessary. And that...
Did he give... And the basis was what? Based on his briefing?
Yes.
And that what he had found?
Yes. And that the investigation was not even necessary. It was a bogus matter. They had conclusions already. And then he proceeded to provide those conclusions. It is those conclusions that proved faulty. For example, the travel routes, the arguments about who went to Luanda, which aircraft came, etc. And it ended up raising more questions than answers. Mind you, the president's investigation has not taken place. When he raised more questions than answers, Ntim Fordjour came back, many other people came back, said, no, look at the flight number of this one. Look at this. The president's investigation hasn't taken place. Then the government comms machinery decided rather to attack Ntim Fordjour. Use disparaging remarks at him, calling him names, all on social media. I don't want to repeat some of them, even on television tonight. And proceeded to announce that they will arrest him, no longer going to do an investigation collaborating with him. They will arrest him and will do a public interrogation of him. I think that was said on your network.
It says that they will make the public see how the interrogation goes.
You see?
But could that not be transparent? That if they are going to interview somebody and they'll show
that is not the context within which they were saying. If you look at the chronology of the events and the attacks on him and the insults, etc. on him, it was obvious that there was this orchestration now to try and make a victim out of him.
Let's pause there and come back and take more thoughts on this. This is the point of view. My guest is Gov't Nkrumah, live MP for Fancy Arabi, who's actually the ranking member of the Economic Committee. But he was in Ntim Fordjour's house today, and in the meeting with the officials, he'll tell us what happened in that meeting. All of that and more. Stay with us.
Fire pomudi ni agobi Ghana fu ni age efi say ya your local spices na ya frafra dia ya sankofa natural spice
me dey go me jollof mu me still ahodoma emanate dance
Stanley the barbecue dey go on
sankofa natural spices and one you use 100% natural said the happen
Adofo mamu nye huge mistake sankofa natural spices the
FDA agi ejedi nkratu yatu.
Hi, my name is Ochiame Kwame. I live at the plush Leisure Den Symphonic, a real estate property developed by Waylead Properties, the very developers of Vista Del Mare and the beautiful Alphabet City. So come with me to site. Let me introduce you to your new home, a gated community with 24-hour security in the heart of Sakomono. Behind me is going to be Willow Lane, where elegance will meet tranquility. You are going to be greeted with a 4-bedroom ensuite home with an elevator, swimming pool, children's playground, constant electricity, and many more. But wait, it gets even more interesting for early birds like you. You get a whopping $50,000 discount. Yes, I said $50,000 if you purchase between now and the end of this month. So call us now or visit us. Willow Lane, where elegance meets tranquility.
Welcome back. We're live tonight with two big issues. Earlier on, I had Rashid Pelpuo talking about government's job creation plan, explaining why government was not going to award contracts to above 60s, and also talking about a few things in labor. But the big story for the day is happened at Johnny Ntim Fordjour's house. Earlier in the day, security operatives had gone there ostensibly to arrest him. My guest, Gov't Nkrumah, was there. We're sort of building up to how he got there and what happened there, but we're just trying to sort a few points. So if I get you right, the president's statement was in order. The government communication machinery overreacted and blew this up out of proportion. And that's what has led to all the confusion. And number two, the attempt to explain away what happened with the flights created more questions.
Yes, because there were so many gaps in the answer, so many inconsistencies.
But the question is, let's assume I say something, I make a claim, and then you say my claim was wrong.
Yes.
But I have not proved my claim.
Yes.
Does the onus not still rest on me who made the original claim? Because you who is trying to debunk me may make mistakes, but the bigger responsibility is on me who makes the original claim, right?
First of all, you didn't make the claim directed at me. You made the claim directed at the government.
Okay.
The man who sits on top of the government rightly and wisely says, I agree, let's do a full-scale investigation into this. Because you see, these matters, it's not just about saying it's not true. You've got to go into it and allow the oxygen and the light, the sunlight, to look into it and convince everybody else that it's not true. I take you back to 2008 when the MV Benjamin matter came. Osei Kwame Prempeh, I think, was Deputy Attorney General at the time. The government took a decision under President Kufuor that we need a full-scale public inquiry into it. The government could have come out and said that these parts of the story are not true. These parts are true, so we are going ahead to prosecute with this one. But they allowed a full-scale public inquiry so that not just the substance of what they are saying, but all other parties could watch and hear and see people being cross-examined and come to a clear understanding that Ghana was not being used as a place like this. So the president did the right thing. The challenge is that the other architects in government then decided that, no, let's go and teach him a lesson. Let's go on this exercise to intimidate the minority caucus. And there's actually a pattern that has been going on. If we have some time, I'll go through it. And that is what then culminated today in over 20 armed people raiding his house in an effort to arrest the spokesperson of the minority caucus because he has raised questions about something and is asking government to investigate.
Do you know if they had written to the speaker and the speaker had acceded to the request to meet him?
Whenever somebody writes to the speaker and the speaker writes to the NIB granting permission for that person to be interrogated, the person is copied. As we sit here, we don't have any such copy. We have rather petitioned Mr. Speaker later today after we left his premises that this is what some officials or some persons claiming to be officials of the NIB tried to do. We're drawing your attention to it as the speaker so that if indeed it is true, you engage them, and then if they have to get some information as part of some investigation, they can do the right thing. If it is not true, then we know the kind of steps.
So let's talk
because Bernard, if you see the people who came to the house, you showed a few photos.
Yes, please put it back. I want to see. Fred said there were about 20.
If you see the people who came to the house in balaclavas, some like ninjas, just showing their eyes.
No, not this one.
Fully armed with AK-47s, cocked, etc. When I was going into the house around 2 p.m., I had to literally maneuver my way.
So you got there after Fred got there. So you got there at 2 p.m.
Because I think Fred was there before
1:20.
I got there. Yeah, I got there around 2 p.m. You had to literally maneuver your way through and ask them to excuse you, etc. It was scary. About 20 of these people. Oh yes, even for me.
In government this long.
I'm telling you, because you see, you can't tell whether these people. There were some in shorts carrying guns.
So it wasn't one group of security. As in,
I saw about 3 different groups. There was a first group. If you can pause the photos, there was this group. So you see people in shorts.
These are not supporters. Oh, these are also security guys.
He's wearing a bulletproof vest. Can you see that?
Okay, in the kambu.
Yeah.
The orange shirt.
Yeah, with side pistols on them. If you can
so
go
these
to the
are
photo,
part of the guys.
If you can go to the photo before, have you seen? No. Okay, so these are some of those in the ninja masks and balaclavas with their faces covered. No ID, no nothing. They come with guns to your house that they've been asked to bring you. Go to the next one. I'll show you something.
But there's NIB on one of them. Their chests.
National Investment Bank or what?
No, National Investment.
That's why you come with an ID.
Okay, so
police people wear an ID.
Let's stay with this group. So this
you see the gentleman on the left in the hat and the polo shirt.
Yeah.
That's an AK-47 in his hand. Is that not?
Yes.
Look at that.
Yes.
In tracksuits, etc. Yes. And all these people come to your house that they are here to arrest you. There's another one there with some scarf that has been tied around his face.
The pink scarf.
You can't see. So this was a scary enterprise.
What else do you have? Show me what else you have, guys.
And you have about 20 of these people. There were 3 layers of them. There was this group. Then there was also the reinforcement from the police.
So there were also uniformed police there?
Oh yes, later they called in reinforcement of the police.
So these are only 2 you have, just be scared. Yeah, but there were uniformed police also.
Yes, in fact, in your videos you showed earlier, the police cars were outside with police flashlights and armed police people with their AK-47s. There you see them.
Okay, so these guys were also part...
They were all part of it, lined up on the streets to ostensibly cordon off the whole area.
Were there other security people
There's a third group. Those were the people who didn't appear armed. Some were in Batakari, etc. They were wearing the COVID masks. So you see them wearing the COVID. It was some of them who came in to have the meeting with us. With their side
were not
arms.
Armed, or they just had
they did. Arms? They had their side arms on them. So we asked for an arrest warrant.
Can you tell where that group was from? Those who you met in the room? Were they National Security, NIB?
They told us that they had been sent. These are some of them. So you see some of them wearing the masks. Yes, they had the side arms with the masks.
But they were not uniformed?
No, they were not.
Plain clothes?
You were not. And if you put all of them together, you even exceed the 20.
So the group that I just showed at the poll, you now went into the meeting with?
Yes, because when you enter his house, there were those who were armed in the corridors. And then there was an inner room where he and some of our leaders were. And we had managed to secure some truce at that point, where then the meetings...
So how many people did you meet in the meeting from your...
Oh, there were about 12 to 15
Of them?
No, members of parliament, lawyers who had come around when we all had the distress call that our colleague was being intimidated and some people wanted to pick him up. And then there were quite a number of these gentlemen, but then later they brought in a delegation and some discussions took place. I won't go into too much detail.
So I'm just saying that the people you spoke to, though, they were plainclothes people.
They were plainclothes people.
And was it a civil meeting?
Oh, it was a civil meeting.
It was a civil meeting.
It was a civil meeting. And
how long did that meeting last?
Maybe a little over an hour or so. And
so it was after the meeting that you guys came out to address the press?
Oh, yes. It was after the meeting, after which they had now left the premises.
That you came to address the press?
And then we came out, and our leader, who led the
So can you confirm that they had come to arrest him?
Yes, I can confirm to you. I was in the meeting when the leader of the delegation told us that the Director General of the NIB had asked them to pick him up.
Not to search his house?
No, to pick him up and to bring him. We asked for a warrant. One of the officers told us that he sitting there was the warrant. And we explained to him that, gentlemen, all these 12 or 13 lawyers here, you can't make that argument to us that we know the law.
And Ntim Fordjour was there with you?
He was there with us.
But hold on, they had gone to the house before you guys got there?
Yes.
Yet they had not taken him yet?
No, because at the time when they tried to enter, I'm sure you see videos earlier of when they got into the compound. At that time, videos were taken, it was circulated, and so very quickly, a mob of supporters came.
Which is what Fred was saying, that there were so many supporters there that...
Very quickly, a mob of supporters...
And the media has also joined?
Yes, so they had their own kind of difficulties.
So if some alarm hadn't blown...
Most likely they would have gone ahead and we won't even know where he is by now. Or for the fact that he led a press conference on behalf of the minority to articulate suspicions that the minority has and is requesting for an investigation on. So in the end, some civility prevailed and they withdrew, after which...
So they agreed with your argument that they could not take him without a valid warrant?
You see, there are two different levels of this argument. The first level is that when the minority caucus holds a press conference and articulates a position, the answer is not to send 20 armed people, some of who you just saw, to his house that they are coming to catch him. It is unheard of.
You explained that to them?
We did. We explained that to them. That listen, in a democracy of this nature, maybe you are under instruction, but mind you, if you do anything illegal, because what you are doing is against Article 115, Article 117, Order 24.3 of the Constitution and the Standing Orders. What you are doing is against Act 720. So if you follow any unlawful orders, you yourself will be liable.
You are also,
so please understand the gravity of what you are seeking to do. Okay. I think they understood it. They had conversations with whoever they needed. Afenyo Makin was our leader who led the conversations, did a very fantastic job.
But this was you were sitting down.
Oh yes. This was a very.
So it means that the calm had prevailed.
In there, calm had prevailed. But like Fred will tell you, outside there was a lot of tension because people didn't know what was going on there, etc. That's one. Then two, we also got them to understand that if for any reason a member of parliament is required to come and provide answers to a question, there's a procedure. In fact, Order 24.3, which is built on Article 117, clearly says that even if Parliament is on recess, you go and see the Speaker.
Okay.
So there's a process that you have to go through.
Okay.
This thing you are doing, you are setting a very dangerous precedent. We don't need to go down this path. I think in the end, some reason prevailed. And even tonight, though we are not very trustworthy of the agencies, and for which reason we've had to make some arrangements to ensure that they still don't go and pick him up tonight, we are expectant that sanity will prevail going forward. But I think that the efforts and the attempts to intimidate the minority must cease. There have been a number of things ongoing for a while now. So far, you have many instances where a member of parliament makes an argument on the floor that seems to hit the government very much. And next thing that you hear, they will invite that person to come and answer questions about something. Quite a number of our members have been invited and they've gone to provide answers.
But I thought those meetings were held in Parliament. If I'm wrong, I'm told that former NSS boss, MP for Yagawa Kubori, and A+ were questioned within the precincts of Parliament.
Yes. But even apart from them, a few others. Once you talk on the floor,
but generally they come to you. You don't go to them.
Yes, that is the process that is been laid out by.
So you are hoping that if the security agencies wanted to follow the president's directive in the true spirit of what the president said, they would have followed the same procedure.
Of course, they would have followed the same procedure. They could have even gone ahead to do a more transparent exercise by allowing a public inquiry, which is what the Minority Caucus is asking for, that these matters, you do a public inquiry. You know, when we came to power, 2017, one MP alleged that Alan Chemantin was involved in a cash for seats matter and that there should be a public inquiry. Did you see us sending 20 people to go to his house to catch him? No. A public inquiry took place. Even in Parliament, cameras were
But
on.
I think the
The
argument they make is that when it comes to national, because Alan example is a great example, but you see, the nation's airport, 2 aircraft, Cocaine Republic, it's much, much more serious.
But in MV Benjamin, which was equally serious, even with audio tapes, you remember those audio tapes, Kofi Boakye and the rest, those audio tapes, a public inquiry was held. So there's nothing really strange about having a public inquiry about these matters.
Yeah, but you see, Kojo, I'm not a lawyer, but I feel like a public inquiry is much further down the line. I don't think a preliminary...
No, I'm drawing your attention to the fact that...
I'm saying that, have you even established a preliminary course?
There is enough...
Is there any evidence provided beyond saying that there are 2 suspicious aircraft
the
and
government
therefore
itself
we should
has
follow
provided evidence by admitting, first of all, that the AirMed aircraft... You see, first of all, think about it. AirMed is not a commercial flight. It didn't even come from their base. It came from Gran Canaria, a place which has all its history and knowledge dealing with matters of this nature. And it came from Gran Canaria to Ghana. Was it bringing a patient or taking a patient? Okay, it came here and stayed here for a number of days. We are told that another aircraft ostensibly came from Luanda to bring parts. It is now turning out that no aircraft came from Luanda bringing parts, and that rather another aircraft, a medical ambulance from Gran Canaria again, came with some items on board. They were discharged. Then that aircraft rather moved to Luanda and to 2 other airports, came back to Accra and left back to Gran Canaria. The government itself has already admitted some prima facie stuff associated with this first one. Number two, if I may land, number two, if I may land. Then you come up with this second Ukrainian aircraft, the Gov't one. Initially, the government explained that it came from, I think, Europe or something. It is now turning out that that particular aircraft they are talking about is still in North Africa. And another flight came from Luanda here, which is the one that you just showed, of jerry cans with oil in that aircraft. Were they bound together? What was it?
Yeah, but the fact that there are questions, does that mean that you
prima facie, you see, it's not an empty allegation that he cooked it from the air. That's the point I'm making. I'm coming.
We are not in court, but just give me a second. I just want to understand something. Somebody says there are suspicious aircraft, but he has not given us anything to show what was in the aircraft. The only thing you said is that they came from a place with a certain reputation.
Yes.
And you are saying that in debunking the claim that there was something suspicious, the minister who made the press conference or whatever he said got some of the facts wrong. But I'm saying that, is that prima facie to mean that there's any evidence?
Why did the president call for an investigation?
He said they should collaborate to find out more from the guy.
So you are saying that the president was not convinced that there was anything prima facie, yet he called for an investigation?
Look, Coach, I'm saying that...
I'm saying to you, there are about 2 or 3 different things. The president himself, having heard what we consider as prima facie...
preliminary allegation.
Yes, what we consider
for more.
What we consider as prima facie. The president himself, having heard and seen it, said, I want NACOC, CID, so and so to collaborate and investigate. You are saying that despite that, or some people are saying that despite that, there's nothing prima facie. Number 2,
the president said he should get... No, they said they should... The president said they should get...
He says they should investigate. You can go back to the text. To investigate. He used the word investigate.
To provide more information.
To investigate. Not my words, the president's words. Number 2, when the government spokesperson who seeks to rubbish what the president has said, that is bogus, is not necessary, they'll teach Ntim Fordjour a lesson, comes to speak, he then even provides some further information which shows you that this is not a cooked up story. There's something there. I'm saying that you can follow the president's instruction and just investigate. If you investigate, do an inquiry, and you come out and you realize that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or so, and so you deal with it. In fact, during that investigation, you may even find out that unknown to you and unsanctioned by you, somebody has done something. But it appears that the interest of the government is trying to intimidate him, shut him up, and that's what
does the fact that the airport company issued a statement today essentially saying that there was no evidence of any illegal substance on board both aircraft, and that the onus is on the group of individuals making false allegations to provide evidence, does that not shift
That is not what the president instructed. The president didn't say agency should issue statement to explain it. The president said, get an investigation done.
Yeah,
and I'm surprised.
I'm trying to understand something.
I'm surprised.
Hold on. You are a former minister. If a government communicator comes out to speak to an allegation and makes a video, the assumption is that he has spoken to people close to the situation who have briefed him on what they believe to be the facts. Will that not be part of an investigation?
The press briefing?
No, not the press briefing. The information that led to the press briefing.
Yes, but so has he told us that an investigation
has
he told us that an investigation has taken place? He's telling us that there's no need for an investigation.
Based on what he knows.
He says there's no need for an investigation. It is bogus, and rather they will teach. In fact, they will make a scapegoat out of him. That is contrary to the president's instruction. And I'm saying that for purposes of good governance, etc., you want that investigation done and matters laid to rest. You want it done so that if somebody is even doing something untoward, you can figure it out. Today I spoke to a lawyer who said, I didn't even believe this thing. I didn't think there was anything in it. But two things are making me worried. I said, what was it? He said, one, the inconsistencies in the government's responses. And two, this seeming attempt to cow the man into submission or oppress him is making me wonder, what is the government hiding? And I'm like, well, I don't know. It will help if they just do the investigation and we know. Maybe we will all see something that we will be surprised about. Maybe the thing will be cleared. But I think that, and Bernard, this point needs to be made strongly. This attempt to cow the minority into submission, that when you say something will come for you, you have lost an election, keep quiet. You know, we are in charge, we have the power. You have Jakpa raiding people's homes. And after those raids, you don't see any, for example, prosecution or anything to say that we went to this person's home and based on the intelligence, we found this. And therefore, the property that was destroyed in his house will not be compensated. He will rather be prosecuted. Or we found, or we didn't find this. So none of those is working to help our situation. It appears as though there's an entire orchestration to, you know, put some state dominance over everybody. And that is what we are
based on what has happened today. Do you believe an investigation can actually, do you believe an honest investigation can happen on the basis of the attempt to arrest him, the minority leadership's intervention, and where we are today? Is this situation salvageable?
It is.
In what way?
You know, when the Ayawaso West Wogon matter happened, I was in one of the meetings where this question was asked: is this situation salvageable? And the president said, put together a team of people who are not aligned to even our political cause. Okay. So you had Emil Short, I think. You had
Professor Mensah
Bonsu. You had
former IGP.
A former IGP. And then you had secretary to the committee who was lawyer Abochi.
Kofi Abochi.
Put them together to do a public inquiry to try to get to the bottom. That's how you deal with matters of this nature. It's not about attacking the persons who led the minority press conference and trying to cow them into submission and say, because I've answered, everybody should go to bed. No, that's not how it's done.
What are you hoping the speaker will do, even though you're on recess? Because you've written to the speaker and obviously complained about what has happened. What do you expect Speaker Babin to do within now and
The law is clear, the precedent is clear. If it is indeed necessary that as part of the investigation, they speak to members of the minority caucus, not just in Ntim Fordjour, members of the minority caucus who have various bits of information to assist in this, Mr. Speaker will give the necessary parameters for that to take place. And I'm sure all who have information that they want to make available to the investigative agencies will make that information available at that forum. That's what we expect Mr. Speaker will do.
A few comments. It's about time the MPP stop their destructive and that's distractive with I and E drama to allow the business of government to go on, like my brother Pelpuo just spoke about. Another one says, why can't the NDC stand criticism? But they do the most. I just don't understand them. And then, Bernard, this choboy attitude has to stop. If Ntim Fordjour has nothing to hide or means well, why shouldn't he be protected by the party? Let's be nationalistic and patriotic to Ghana, not parties. I hope I've read the statements well. Could you thank you for talking to us?
Thank you, Bernard.
When are you guys going back to Parliament?
I think by the end of May, Mr. Speaker will recall us to come to Parliament and continue with our work.
How is life outside government?
Well, bustling with a lot of activity. On my new committee, for example, we have been keen on getting the policy documents that government is working with so that we can start. We're also going to start the public hearings of the annual performance reports of the various ministries.
So you are getting on with it?
We're getting on with it.
You are not sulking that you lost?
No. You know, there are three arms of government. government. You may not be in executive today.
But you are still in government.
You are still in government. You got work to do. Do it.
For Mother Ghana.
Yeah.
As Kwame, my friend, will say, for God and country. Thank you for watching. We've had a big show. We had Rashid Pelpuo earlier, Kojo Ponkroma, both MPs, one a minister, one a former minister, and both working for Ghana. My name is Bernard Avle. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.